So here the poet says in the third stanza, keep your mental balance when confronted by a foe. Now, foe means an enemy or an adversary. Now, who is the enemy over here? Well, it could be an external enemy, someone you're actually having a fight with. It could also be your other self, right? The angry self inside. So you have to fight dual battles at once. You have to fight both these enemies because both of them are trying to pressurize you. And that is why I have used this particular visual, because it's not just the person who you're facing, who you're fighting with, but it's also your multiple selves inside who are prompting you to get angry, to get agitated, to be violent, to be negative, to be destructive. So he says at such times you have to keep your mental balance, be it enemy in ambush or some danger that you know. So he says whether it's a direct enemy, that is when you are confronted, when you see your enemy directly, as in you're facing your enemy, right, head on, both of you are face to face. Or it could be an enemy in ambush. Ambush is an enemy in hiding who springs a surprise attack on you, as if like you're walking on the road and suddenly someone pounces on you. So that's an enemy in ambush, right? Someone ambushes you. Ambushing is attacking you without your knowledge. So he says, be it enemy in ambush or some danger that you know, or it could be some impending danger. Danger over here, he's using war metaphors, but actually what he means is the situations in our life when we are likely to get angry or flustered. Like maybe I don't get along with a person, and for a very long time, it is simmering, it is just below the surface, and the pressure is building. And someday I know the I'll just blow my head off, and I'm just going to blast. So that's impending danger. I can see it coming. But if you are poised and tranquil, so he uses two very interesting words. Tranquil, of course, is um, I explained it to you earlier that it's a state of perpetual calmness and serenity and peace. And he says, if you are poised, poised is where you have a kind of a stance, um, a physical stance which shows, which reflects your emotional state of mind, which reflects your cool headedness, your level headedness. That is being poised. Because you may have noticed often when people are angry, their body language also changes, right? They start throwing their hands, arms around, and they become aggressive, they engage in aggressive actions, and they start wringing their hair and doing things which normal people normally they would not do. So he says that is when you lose your poise. So if you are poised and tranquil when all around is strife, so people are attacking you from all corners, even within you, your multiple selves are attacking you, but you are tranquil, you are poised. If you fall prey to all your adversaries, then you are not going to win this battle. The only way to overcome this problem, to overcome this conflict situation, is if you keep your mental balance and you allow the storm to pass. It's like, there's a storm coming and you just cling to a tree. Maybe that tree can withstand the storm. So you have to cling to something inside you where you tell yourself, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to break, let this pass, and I'll work towards a constructive solution. Be assured, and he says, if you are successful at doing this, be assured that you have mastered the most vital thing in life, right? So you have absolutely mastered the most vital. So he calls it the most important thing in life. where you are the master of your emotions. You are not being controlled by your feelings and emotions. Your emotions are not controlling you. You are not slave to them. Instead, you have them in your hands, right? And you are not going to spoil the quality of your life. Now, this is as far as the message of the poem goes. Now, I have some reflection questions on you. As a teacher of literature, I encourage my students to think open mindedly, right? And to treat every piece, whether it's a poem or whether it's a short story, an essay, or a novel or a play, remember one thing, that none of this can be taught. I have just shared my ideas with you, but treat every piece of text that you come across as open ended, right? So let's reflect on some questions, because some of us may agree with what the poet is saying and some may disagree, right? That some may come up with an argument that, is being angry always wrong? Because if we are not angry, maybe things will never change, right? Because anger can lead to movements, anger can lead to activism. So we have to remember that if we are in a perpetual state of calmness and we just close our eyes to injustice that is happening around us, or things that are going wrong all around us, and we are not angered by it, just because we are not affected by it, then society won't change, the world won't change. So sometimes it's extremely justified to be angry. But what the poet is trying to say over here is that give a direction to your anger, right? I mean, he's not saying it, he's asking us to be calm. But what I am trying to do is, I'm trying to treat this as an open text, where, of course, we have so far seen the advantages of the poet's philosophy, where if we are not angry, the best possible advantage of not losing your temper is to your own self, to your own body, right? Because when I'm angry, I'm hurting myself the most, right? I am undergoing those chemical changes. I am making myself vulnerable. I am resorting to violence. I'm creating a bad impression on people. If I'm shouting, my vocal cords are being damaged, my blood pressure increases, my blood boils. So, in all of this, I'm hurting myself the most. And of course, in the process, I'm also hurting the other person. So, of course, being calm is a very, very good piece of advice, a very sane piece of advice, I'll say. But at the same time, if we look at anger in a more broader, generalized context, uh, I would like to ask this question to you: can anger ever be right or justified? So let's remember, if it was not anger of the Indian freedom fighters against the British rulers, perhaps we would still be ruled by the British. If it was not anger of the American women against the white man, perhaps even today women would not have had the right to vote, because anger leads to activism, right? So some of the world's biggest movements, some of the world's most landmark movements which changed the course of society were prompted by anger. But yes, it is extremely important that we channelize this anger into doing something constructive and not destructive. We find spaces where we can vent, where we can express our resentment, because obviously there's injustice happening all around us. There's injustice happening everywhere. And it is our duty to make people aware of that, right? So we cannot say that, oh, I can never get angry, then something is definitely wrong with me. So, of course, if I can never get angry, then either I am a saint or I'm a recluse, as in I'm not affected by the world. But if I am immersed in this society, if I'm an organic part of the society, then it's very natural for me to get angry. But as young people, or as any person, you know, uh, we have to channelize this anger. We have to uh, see to it that this anger leads to something constructive. So I am in partial agreement with the poet. I do believe that anger can be destructive. Sometimes decisions we make in haste, words we say in the heat of the moment, which we do not mean, go a long way to hurt people. And it can lead to lasting damage. But at the same time, um, organized movements prompted by anger, channelized through anger, resistance movements, activism is required, right? Because society is unjust, and to strive for an egalitarian society, to strive for an equal space, or to give visibility to people who are not heard, who are not seen, sometimes it does um, stand to reason that sometimes we do need to get angry. But it's just that we should let that moment pass, and we should let that, feeling, whatever anger we have inside us, we should think, we should create another space to bring it out, so that the wound heals and that anger can lead to something constructive. So that's my takeaway from the poem. Hope you found these sessions worthwhile, and continue to carry on with your own interpretations, right? Because a poem can have several meanings.